Welcome to Between Heaven and Earth, an internet radio talk show where we help you connect spirit and divine guidance. Lisa Kay, your host, brings you shows that can enhance and transform your life with tips and new ideas for more happiness, abundance, and better relationships. Lisa is an expert on intuition and can show you how to strengthen your inner guidance to empower yourself. Each show is positive and uplifting to inspire your day. Her guest speakers are specialists on self-help, positive thinking, spirituality, and conscious living. Be the best that you can be with Between Heaven and Earth, conscious living for your soul.
And angel blessings to everyone. Our show today is called Switched On and Breakthrough with our special guest, Nick Jankel. Nick is a specialist in helping people get unstuck, identify and let go of limiting habits and beliefs, and become more conscious and mindful in each and every day. He's truly an inspirational teacher that can help you break through and, as he puts it, get switched on. So let me tell you a little bit about Nick. Nick Jankel is a wisdom teacher, social entrepreneur, and an in-demand innovation and leadership expert with a triple first from the University of Cambridge in medicine and philosophy. He has advised multinationals like Nike, Microsoft, and Disney, as well as social organizations. And he's written for newspapers and magazines, including The Guardian and the Financial Times. He has also anchored a BBC TV series. Everything Nick does is centered on switching people on, helping individuals, teams, and organizations break through old patterns and create a thriving future. He is a partner of We Create and a founder of Ripe and Ready. He's also the author of the book Switched On: How to Ignite Your Creative Spirit with the New Science of Breakthrough. Welcome, Nick. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you, Lisa. It's great to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited. I mean, what you've written in your book is something I think that everybody, including myself, want, to get breakthrough and switched on and kind of live the life that we're supposed to be in the vortex. But, actually, before I get to that, I had a question for you. As I was reading your bio, being in, the UK is a little different from the United States. What is a triple first?
So I think the equivalent would be, like a summa cum laude type thing.
Okay.
From like, let's say you got that from Harvard. That's about sort of similar thing from Cambridge.
Awesome. You're a super smart guy. Yes, that's fine.
Good at doing exams.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So wonderful. So I wanted to talk about your book and the process that you went through in creating this book. So could you kind of go through a little bit about what where the book came from and why did you write it?
I'd love to, actually. It's not something I talk about that much. Obviously, people often want to know what's in the book rather than where the book came from. And the book took a long time to write. It's almost a decade of work in this book. And I set myself a task of writing a book, which was the book I wish I'd been given as a 15-year-old or 22-year-old, smart, interested in the world, and yet stuck in a lot of areas. I wanted that book. I wanted it to be a true integration of everything we know from science about how to thrive, so psychology and neuroscience and that kind of stuff, but also how that fits in with some of the big spiritual concepts like surrender and gratitude and.
So would you say is it kind of like a roadmap for life?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a roadmap. It's literally the best of everything I've ever learned in a roadmap that hopefully is simple without pretending that life is just about being grateful, for example.
Right. So where did you come from? That obviously you've created this roadmap, and that's there's the gold at the end of the rainbow. I think is what this roadmap is. And so what was the life like for you in the beginning, and then what was it like at the end of the rainbow?
I created the roadmap for me, purely selfishly. So this, you talked about this exam, Cambridge degree. I left Cambridge with this amazing degree, and anything, could walk into any job, but no idea how to live life fully. No one's ever taught me any of that stuff. And so I spent the first 10 years after that up and down like a yo-yo between amazing openings of possibility and creativity, and started a new company and all sorts of fun stuff and love affairs, but also loads of down moments as well. And I wanted not to have the down moments, not because there's something wrong with down, but just because I knew that there was a different way. And so life used to be up and down, quite kind of depressed, then elated. And I was actually clinically depressed at one point. I had chronic pain syndrome, fibromyalgia, anxiety. A lot of people didn't like me. I didn't like myself very much. Quite lonely. That whole, what life wasn't particularly pleasant in my inner world. And
you got rid of all those things. You were able to get. That's a lot of stuff.
I was going to say, now I'm still like that. No, I really am not. I've fundamentally made a shift in my basic orientation to life. And that's really what this book, Switch On, is about saying, if we want to have a life where it's really rich and we know how to master the suffering that comes our way, then it's not just a thing you do in a couple of sessions of counseling. It's a life's work. This is the work of life.
A lot of people go through that, and probably only one section of what you were talking about. There's a lot of things there, depression, fibromyalgia, pain, and so did you ever go through a point where you didn't, you got to the bottom and you thought, well, this is it? How did you get out of that?
I guess I made a choice not to get stuck at the bottom and to move through it. And I made some very brave choices in my life to let go of things. I let go of 2 businesses. I let go of a medical career. I let go of a lot of things that most people think are the answers. And that's when I got the solutions.
So how did you do that? How do you let go of most people, I would think, you've got this wonderful degree, you could go anywhere you want. You've got a career going, and that always means security and money. And how do you let go of that? What did you do?
Well, that's where spirituality comes in. That's where the rubber hits the road, because my belief is it's almost impossible to surrender what you have until you can connect with spirit in a way that allows you to feel that no matter what happens, it's going to be okay, because you're part of the oneness, you're part of love.
Oh, that's a big one, that it's always going to be okay.
Yeah. And not say, also, it's not a kind of platitude like it's always going to be okay because you might die, or there's illness, or there's all sorts of things that can happen in the relative world, in the egoic world. But in terms of it's all going to be okay, as in you are part of this one thing called the universe. And therefore, ultimately, you are bigger than any of the stuff that happens in this everyday life. Because you're everything. You're oneness. You're everything. You are, you are that. You are love. You are consciousness.
You're part of I think what's wonderful about that concept of letting go, or that you're part of the bigger thing, is that you don't have to take on the responsibility of everything, that there's something bigger than you. Right.
Well, let's get to another thing that I spend a lot of time talking about with people, is this very fine line between realizing you have no control at all and realizing you have total responsibility for everything that happens. And that's a really amazing paradox. So on the one hand, the universe is way bigger than you. So stuff's happening and it's not all about you. That's narcissistic to think it is. On the other hand, every experience you have a choice how to experience it, and whether to be switched on or switched off around it. That's ultimately what the choice is.
So how do you get switched on? How did you figure that out?
Well, part of my narrative is that I'd experienced being switched on, as most people have, many times in my life without knowing exactly what it was or how to get it back.
Oh, give us an example. What is switched on?
Switched on feeling, the summary version is you feel connected to everything and everyone's your ally. You're it's a moment of enlightenment.
You're feeling good and everything seems to be, going for you, or?
It's not necessarily good as in pleasant. but it's like I am part of the life force. It's, I'm in life.
Yeah, would it be energized?
Yeah,
Or more than that?
On the edge of your life, knowing that you're on where you're meant to be, knowing that there's meaning in what you're doing, knowing that you are part of the great human chain of being, or not just the human chain of being, the chain of all being. That's what, for me, a switched on feeling is you realize that.
That's like being enlightened.
Yeah, it is. For me, switch on is a metaphor for being enlightened.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. People climb mountains and meditate for 50 years to try to be enlightened.
That's the thing. I would say everyone's had these moments.
Okay, these moments. Yes.
Yeah, but the thing about meditation practice or yoga practice is you're practicing how to have them more often, without walking up the mountain or without giving birth in the moment and seeing your baby for the first time. Anyone can have those little chinks of connection.
That's a good one. I like that. Seeing your baby for the first time.
Yeah, that's a great
one.
So
that's one that I can connect with,
Right. Yeah. I mean, for me, I spent a lot of my youth on dance floors in parties, in clubs, in festivals, in raves. And there were moments pretty much every time where I felt switched on. And I was like, there's a reason why people go to a club and dance for 12 hours with strangers. Mm-hmm. It's not, it's a place where you can feel switched on. But the question for me was, how do I get that on a Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. when I'm waiting for a bus in the rain in London?
You turn the lights off and turn the music on.
That's like, I put in the book something, it's easy to feel switched on when you're in Ibiza or Goa or Costa Rica with the sunset coming down and a glass of, a gin and tonic in your hand. It's much harder when you're sitting in a cubicle and your boss is ranting at you or whatever else is going on.
Oh, totally. Well, I want to find out how you can do that all the time. And when we come back from the break, you're going to explain to us how to do that. I'd love to hear it. Thanks.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Imagine receiving healing, vibration-raising energy as you listen to the radio. Energy that flows effortlessly to you. Imagine exploring all things metaphysical, sharing in an ongoing adventure. Join me, Karen Smoot, along with my co-hosts Lisa Victorson and Wendy Weber for Immersion into Source every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Om Radio.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
And we're back. And we are talking to Nick Jankel, and we're talking about being switched on and breaking through. So, and I believe we were talking about how to be switched on all the time not just those little times or those little moments when you are having, I don't know, a mini breakthrough, or you're just feeling great. So, Nick, you could explain to us a little bit. Were you able to move from the switched on to those, party moments to when you're at work and so on?
Yeah. I mean, that's the journey of my life, is to feel that connectedness, because the connectedness allows you to open your heart. And when your heart's open, then you can live a truly spiritual life. And that's what my desire is. So the work for me is always about feeling that connection, that switched onness, as much as possible all the time, with everyone, with my kids, with my colleagues, with everything.
How do you do that?
Well, my what's the word? My dharma, if you like, my practice is about teaching people to look for the answer within the challenge, not outside of the challenge. So rather than the teaching, come away on a retreat with me, and we're going to feel really good doing mindfulness meditation, then come back to life and it's all going to be different. My work is saying the secret is in the moment right now, particularly in what I would call problems. Things that feel like they're the challenge are actually the part of you that's calling you to open more and to become more connected. And even the smallest thing has a breakthrough available in it. The smallest little gnarly moment in your day has a potential for enlightenment.
Really? Would you even say right now?
Yeah, right this second. Everyone right now has got, I'm sure, something that's been irritating them in the day, and frustrating or worrying or anything that's stopping them feeling switched on. And therefore, for me, the answer is within that experience. Something about that experience is stopping us feeling this feeling. And therefore, by understanding what it is, we get access to the feeling and we grow. And then we can do it with something else and something else and something else. And that's,
can you give me an example? I'm trying to connect with
let's say, actually, here's a real example for me. Last Friday, I gave a talk to a bunch of very wealthy kids, 20-somethings who had inherited lots of money from their family, and were looking at doing sort of social enterprises and things with the money and that kind of stuff. So a big sort of community of very entitled people, very wealthy. Mm-hmm. So I'm teaching them some stuff around leadership and wisdom. And a girl sort of interrupts me in the middle of me about to do meditation and asks me in a kind of petulant way something. And I could feel immediately my ego coming up and it being sort of what I call in the book a charge. I felt something other than absolute peace and oneness with her. I was like, okay, there's something there for me. There's a moment there's something for me in there. And afterwards, I went into it, and the feeling of not being listened to is something that's come up before in my life, of not being respected. And I did some work on it. I sort of went into the feeling, allowed the feeling to be there, and then felt my way back to truth, back to oneness, and allowed myself to surrender the feeling of not being respected. So that's very light. It's kind of basically healing, but the healing, to heal, you need to have the enlightenment feeling, the switched on feeling, the open heart. And so the pain that's stopping you feel it is the invitation to heal. And so it's a perfect, beautiful system. I think this is the way everything's designed. But we get taught the opposite. We get taught to avoid the pain or hide the pain.
We'll talk a little bit about that, about the pain and how you can kind of use that. I mean, like you said, I think we want to avoid the pain all the time, and so we do everything to avoid it. But I think you were referring to how that actually takes us through the breakthrough. How does it do that?
Yeah, the pain is it's the signpost saying, over here, there's a breakthrough. Because if you didn't have the pain, then you'd be living a totally switched on life 24/7, right? So the pain is saying to you, some part of you wants to grow beyond this pain, is ready. It's ready to grow.
Would you say that's all pain? Because I'm just thinking about, let's see, what causes me pain? Some people cause me pain, and I kind of avoid them. They're just some people out there that are just not nice people. I mean, they're in their own pain, and they just have, for whatever reason, are dumping on others, and so, I tend to not want to deal with them. And to the point of where if I have to deal with them, I'll still try not to deal with them, And so what do you do in that situation? Oh, she's calling again. Don't answer the phone.
My argument would be to myself that, first of all, I talk very, very clearly in the book, no one causes us pain. They do what they
really.
do what they do, and we experience pain around it. And the way I can prove that is because there's someone else in the world I know who wouldn't feel pained by what they've done, who would laugh at it or want to cuddle them like the Dalai Lama. Might just want to go, oh, they're just hurting, I'm going to give them a big hug. And therefore I know that there's something about me that's causing that sees this as painful rather than sees this as a beautiful human being who just wants to be hugged, right? So that's the challenge to myself. Okay, they're not causing the pain, they're triggering the pain. So the pain is in me. What is it? Do I want to be free of it or not? So in your example, I have a similar thing, right? There's some people I just don't really want to deal with and can't be bothered. And I kind of avoid it. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to live that life. I want to live a life where I can call anyone and be as connected and loving with them as I am with my little 3-year-old boy.
Right.
And that's the challenge for me. So therefore, something has to shift in me. The breakthrough can only happen in me. I can't control anyone else's life.
Right.
But I can certainly cause.
What would you call them? Like I would just give that example.
Go into what is it? What's it triggering? And then you're away. And the rest of my book is about how to do that, essentially.
You talk about that, and I'm just looking at your 10 steps. You go through the problems, and I guess that's identification, and then patterns, pain, presence.
Yeah.
And peace, purpose, possibility, power, play, and proactivity. So those are the 10 steps. And could you give us like an overview of what you don't have to go into every single step, but what is that? And I love what you put in the book. It's sort of this graphic that is like it starts with the problems, it goes down into pain, which is sort of in a valley. You hit the bottom, which is presence, and then you start coming out of that valley through peace, purpose, possibility, power, play.
Yes, that graphic J shape. So anyone who's listening now, imagine a J. So you start any breakthrough or transformation starts at the left-hand side of a J, and you want to get to the right-hand side where the J is higher up, when you're more thriving, more connected. And the teaching I have is to get there, you have to go down into the pain, into the problem, into understand it. And that's a journey of letting go. And so the left-hand side of the J is letting go, and the right-hand side of the J is getting the new stuff, the breakthrough. But the challenge is you have to let go before you get the breakthrough. And all of us would like the breakthrough before we let go.
So is sort of like for your entire life, or would it be for a particular problem?
I believe this is the underlying nature of transformation in the universe, this J shape.
For everything.
Absolutely everything. Organizations, countries, chemical reactions. And my second book is actually about this J shape and what is it doing.
All right, so you went from the individual to nations and countries. So it sounds like it can be applied to big things and small things. So if we talk about an individual, what's in it for me? So I would go through trying to figure out how to go through this process, the J shape, for myself. And how would I apply it to the little things? I'm almost going to go back again to, I don't know, let's say trouble at work. That's something that, a lot of people go through, and they're like, well, I can't get ahead of my job. My boss sucks, and I can't seem to be recognized. How would your process play into a role here?
So my process would say, right, that's the beginning of a breakthrough. You've identified something that's blocking you and challenging you. Great. Let's jump on this J shape and ride the J.
Yeah.
So I would say there's a breakthrough coming. We don't know what it is because every breakthrough is unique. I can't predict the breakthrough. That's the whole point of creativity, is it's coming out in the moment. It's so beautiful. It's spontaneous eruption of the spirit into life. That's what I think creativity is. But what we do know is the process works. So let's get on the process. So just to walk you through, as you asked, those sort of very quickly, those 10 steps. Problem. Okay, I've got a problem. I can't get ahead at work. Okay. So taking responsibility for the problem. What are the patterns I'm showing at work? Well, I'm defensive. I don't stand up for myself. I get dispirited and lack of motivation, whatever. Then I can look at the pain. Well, where's the pain within that? Why am I using those patterns to survive? What's the deeper pain I have? Is it a pain of disappointment, a pain of not feeling like I'm recognized, whatever? Then we start to melt that pain down in presence, in connection, in spirit. Then we experience peace. We're like, I've healed this pain that's been with me since I was 5, 7, whatever. And that's usually that's where healing usually ends, that moment there. And then that's the first 5 steps of the 10-step curve. And then the second 5 steps are great. Now I'm feeling at peace. What is that? Spirit healed me, right? Or the spirit within me healed me. Or the shaman within me healed me. What does that shaman want to do in the world? And that's when you go, okay, I'm coming out. And then usually you get some kind of insight, an intuition, an idea forms, and then you're off. And so your example, it might be, I think I've realized people don't know who I am because I keep myself to myself. I'm going to share at the next meeting a story about my life so they can start to understand who I really am, for example. Or actually, I'm going to step up for the next away day and I'm going to organize one half of it because I've never done that before. I can't predict the breakthrough. And usually you get more than one. Once you realize that you're the one holding you back, no one else is, the breakthroughs become fast and amazing. In any area. Okay,
so where are we on the curve? We've gone to purpose and possibility.
Yeah, possibility and play and power and then you can start rewiring yourself and doing affirmations about this new way of being that you've got, and then you can start looking for a job where you can be this person. But that journey takes a while, right? So it takes years.
Well, I want to go on and talk about, this sounds like a wonderful process that you go through. I want to go on and we'll talk about, bring up the science that you have in your process, and we'll do that when we come back from our break.
Fabulous.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Imagine magnificence. Do you live to your unlimited potential? Join me, Margaret Ann Lembo. Awaken your consciousness. Listen to Money Magnet Moment, Gem Spot Affirmations, Essential Aromatics, and Looking Skyward Astrocast, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business.
The Conscious Parenting Radio Show provides inspiration and resources for loving, empowering, and respecting your children and yourself. Join me, Timothy, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as we consciously explore proven ways of living together in happiness, health, and harmony.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
And welcome back. I'm Lisa Kay, and you're listening to Between Heaven and Earth Radio. And we are here with Nick Jankel, and we're talking about getting switched on and breaking through. And he's got a wonderful process of how to do that with his book. In fact, why don't we talk a little bit about his book, because we are at our half-hour mark, and we do a little bit of some announcements here. So the book is called Switched On, How to Ignite Your Creative Spirit with the New Science of Breakthrough. And Nick, where can you get the book?
I think pretty much everywhere.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble,
Barnes and Noble, all the usual
bookstores.
people. But just as the name actually got changed after that press release went out. It's Switch On, Unleash Your Creativity and Thrive with new science and spirit of breakthrough. Really, I've changed it to I really wanted to get that sense of science and spirituality coming together.
Yeah, and science is cool. That's what I'm all about. My background's in science and engineering, and so I love that stuff. So I want to get onto that and talk about that. Let's let people know where they can reach you at your website, nickjankel.com, nickjankel.com. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yes, nickjankel.com. And are there other things that you have out there that you can offer people that you'd like to share with us?
I'd love to. Like a good plug. So I've just finished 2 things to go along with Switch On the book. One is a 21-day video course where we do a meditation or visualization every day to go along the breakthrough curve. 21-day videos. It's amazing, I have to say. And the other is a 10-week coaching kit to, again, go through all 10 steps of the breakthrough curve. And again, it's been taking years for me to develop. You coach someone else, and they coach you.
So you're working with someone. Is it a one-on-one thing?
Exactly, with a real human being.
Nice.
Learning to coach, and you're coaching them. I said it very expensively to organizations, and this is a personal version and fully spirited up.
Wow.
And both are available on my new Wisdom media company website, which is Ripe and Ready, www.ripe&ready.com.
And you spell it out, A-N-D?
Yeah, A-N-D. So ripeandready.com/shop, and you can find all these, and there's meditation there. And if anyone's interested in being a sort of switched on entrepreneur, a wisdom teacher, someone who's got a business or career around spirit and consciousness. In September, I'm starting a 12-month switched on MBA program, taking all the work I do in the corporate world and turning it into a 12-month program to help people build a business around their true heart-led purpose. And
so what kind of businesses would that be for? Is it any business or?
Any business. So we've got people who are a yoga teacher who wants to learn how to turn it into a business, right up to people who are trying to create, bigger ideas, apps, products, whatever.
Wow, that's exciting.
Heart-led business.
And what are they going to learn there? So give our listeners.
Oh my God.
Give us some juicy snippets.
Design a conscious business model and have a map on your wall of what your business model is that you can look at any moment. How to design a brand, a conscious brand, an ethical and sales strategy. And then for each month that we're doing something about the business, we also look at the inner work around that topic. So if you're looking at profitability and margins and stuff, that month we'll look at your relationship to money and wealth and clear away stuff from that.
Wow, so it's practical and melded with the spiritual side, right?
Super practical, and yet intensely deep work on all the areas of our life where if we're out in the world doing stuff where we can get caught and blocked.
So this is for people who are starting a business or already have one?
Either. It's designed to be wherever you're at, come on the journey, and you'll be better. Where you come off will be radically better. I'm going to share I've been an entrepreneur for almost 20 years, and I'm going to share all the stuff I've learned, right down to how to get a book published, how to design a course online, anything, all that stuff. We're going to look at all of it.
All your secrets.
All my secrets to not spending the crazy amount of money I've spent learning them.
Yeah, get you up and going, running in no time. That's awesome.
Exactly. It's one thing to have an enlightenment breakthrough and a desire to be of service and come from the heart. It's another thing to make it your career.
Yeah, and make it happen, right?
And make it happen and make it your living.
Yes.
And that's super precious.
Yes, absolutely. That's wonderful. I think it's very exciting. It's very
much so.
So, well, I have a couple of announcements. Actually, I have one main one, which is my my sole purpose in life right now in this moment is to teach people how to develop their intuition. And so I'm giving, we just finished up actually a couple series of our level 1 course, and I'm going to be opening up a new advanced intuition and psychic development class. It's going to have mediumship in it as well, and that's coming June 29th, and that's all online. And that is a workshop that's geared towards people who want to go to the next level in developing their intuition and psychic skills. And this is also going to give you some advanced techniques so that you can develop your skills at a professional level. But if you don't want to be a professional, you can still attend the online course if you just want to learn more, because then you're going to learn some techniques that I've learned from reading for others, doing intuitive readings, and how to get information specifically about the common questions people or you that you might have about relationships and health and job, career, where are you going, and, should I change my job or should I stay? Things like that. And instead of having to go to someone else to get those answers, you can turn within and get those answers. So you're going to go from the once in a while intuitive piece of information that you got. It's like, oh, well, I knew that person was going to wear, my coworker's going to wear red today, to really getting some really great insight in what's going on in your life and give you the guidelines and the messages that will tell you where you need to go. So that's what this class and this online class is all about. I teach it in person. This time is going to be online. And we'll also talk about how to get that kind of a business going for you. And we go over similar things in terms of how to get started out in the public if you want to do intuitive readings for other people and build your client list. So anyway, that is coming up. We're opening it June 29th. You can go to my website to read more about it. It's lmk88.com/press, PRESS, and you'll learn all about this level 2. And you don't have to take level 1 to do it. It's open to everybody. So why don't we get back to our discussion with Nick? And I wanted to talk to you, Nick, about I guess what you call, what did you say, biodynamics? Is that based in the science? I guess there's science in all of the work that you've done, or at least in this breakthrough curve that helps people get through. What is this science?
I'm a science geek, and I study science.
Me too.
And it's so the framework that I'm putting together is called Breakthrough Biodynamics, and it's basically the understanding of the dynamics of how we have breakthroughs. And that's what this J-shaped curve is. It's the key to all of it. And I call it biodynamics, partly because my wife's a biodynamic craniosacral therapist, and I've really got very attentive to the idea of what biodynamic means in terms of fittedness and alignment and things. But also biodynamic very simply in the idea that all breakthroughs happen in people. And people are biological. We are biological organisms. And so unless we understand our biology, it's extremely challenging to be the breakthrough artist we can be.
Why is that?
Because we're leaving it to sort of luck rather than understanding that, we have this part of our brain, the vagus nerve doing this, we have this sort of thing going on. And people in the spiritual sort of tradition tend, some of them, not everyone, tend to discount science. Well, actually, it's got an amazing set of knowledge. It's got an amazing series of insights. It doesn't have all the insights. But what it's got is really good. And
there's even a biology of a belief in God. There's someone out there, I've forgotten his name now, who does research. I think he's actually at Harvard.
Yes.
There's science in obviously the way we think and the things that we believe in, but I think what you're talking about is our biology predisposes us to react in certain ways, and to perhaps have us think in certain ways. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like what you're saying is that's important to understand. Would you say so?
It is, and particularly important because part of my work in the world is to preach to the unconverted, if you like. I really want to bring all the people out there who are suffering because their desire to be cynical, skeptical, scientific, and atheistic is just getting in the way of their hearts opening. And I know a lot of people like that. I'd say, half of the world is like that. And I want to talk to them and say, listen, I've got enough science here to help you get over the bridge and get into your heart.
Has that helped you? Was there a part, were you the skeptic or the cynic?
I was an atheist for...
Were you really?
I was a kind of mystical atheist. I was still buying books on Kabbalah, but I was professed to be an atheist.
Really?
Because I knew religion didn't make sense to me. And so I didn't even know that spirituality kind of existed. And I've never done New Age stuff. So I've never really been into the New Age.
So what changed your mind?
Actually experiencing spirit. I mean, that's the ultimate reality. And also realizing that whatever I was doing didn't have all the answers because I was still miserable a lot of the time. So there had to be something that I didn't quite get.
So you had the aha, it works.
Yeah. I had the kind of, I'd always intuited it, but I didn't.
Love that.
Didn't make sense to me fully in my intellectual framework. So that's why I had to create an intellectual framework that it did make sense, where spirituality makes sense.
Right.
And
so
that's what I created.
So let's get back to the science. Can you give us an example of some science that supports what you're talking about? I'm curious.
Oh my God, there's so much of it.
Pick a good one.
That's what the most amazing thing about the world at the moment is. The last 15 years of science, almost every paper I read, and I read sometimes 50 scientific papers a month.
Wow.
Every single one is supporting a connected, collaborative, heart-led worldview. I mean, it's amazing.
In what way? What is it?
Simple one here, right? People who have purpose tend to have live longer, be more generous, have less Alzheimer's, less dementia than people who don't have purpose.
Wow.
It's one of like 100 things in the book. And so much so, people have been so interested in the science of this stuff that I've just halfway through writing a book called The Science Sutras.
Wow.
Which is going to it's on the one hand of the page, it's going to be one of these studies, the science, and on the right-hand side of the page, it's going to be a wisdom teaching.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know.
Well, let's go to the break, and then when you come back, tell us a little bit more about the Science Sutras. I'm going to write that down.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Join Elliot Jolish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jolish Hour as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jolish Hour. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
And we're back. I'm Lisa Kay, and this is Between Heaven and Earth Radio. Conscious living for your soul. And we're here with our special guest, Nick Jankel, and we're talking all about how you can break through and live your life's purpose, and actually the process you go through that Nick has created for this, and that there's actually science based in this, which is really interesting. So we were talking about, I guess we were going on to the next evolution, Nick. It was, you called it Science Sutras. Is that your next project?
What
is that? What is a sutra? Tell us what a sutra is first.
Well, sutra is most practically it's a teaching or a piece of wisdom within a tradition. So the Buddha has created a number of sutras. Mm-hmm. The Diamond Sutra, the Heart Sutra, but the derivation of the word is interesting. It has a sort of sense of suture, like weaving together. Mm-hmm. Sanskrit, which I really enjoy, particularly because I'm trying to weave together, I'm weaving together science and spirit. And I mean, there's two different sources of knowledge.
So now okay. So Science Sutras.
Yeah.
So what are they?
So the Science Sutras are going to be, I think 50 for the first book, 50 of the most interesting scientific experiments of the last 10 years. Mm. And then with each one, 50 teachings that can be inspired by the word science.
Pick your favorite one. Tell us about that.
Oh, my God. There's so many.
I'll put you on the spot.
So much. I mean, here's an amazing one, which just still blows people's minds, particularly cynics. So if you take a group of chambermaids, hotel maids, mm-hmm. and most of them don't think that they do enough exercise. But when they're told that doing 20 or 30 beds a day, taking the sheets off, whatever, that's actually more than the US Surgeon General's recommended daily amount of exercise.
Oh, yeah.
The group that are told that lose weight. The group that are not told that don't lose weight.
Really? And that's the only thing, right?
Exactly. No single traditional mechanistic reductionist scientist can explain how that occurs.
Right. So what is that? What is the teaching from that? What do we learn from that?
I mean, there's a number of teachings, but one of the teachings is the way what we believe about life is what occurs to us in life. I mean, it's super simple. Everything we do, we're believing things. It seems so crazy. Even just me speaking right now, there are hidden beliefs in everything I'm saying, and we just often don't choose them. Mm-hmm. We acquire them from parents, teachers, advertising, our boss, whoever.
Everything around us, and reading it. I think about that all the time because that's how I was brought up with that philosophy. It was drilled into me that you are what you think, that you create your reality through your thoughts, and I think about that all the time. And one of the things I think about now, particularly because my parents are quite elderly, my dad's 95, and he was the one that taught me this. And he, so I think about getting old, and it's hard to, obviously if my dad's 95, I'm not that young. So I'm starting to think about me being older, and, I have my aches and pains, and then I think, don't think like that, but it's hard not to, when your world around you you see it everywhere. You see, of course there are exceptions, right? And then you always think there are exceptions. How do you switch over? How do you basically in the face of the world around you go, that's not reality, I'm going to create a different one, and then really live it and believe it so that you can change your reality? How do you do that?
I mean, this is one of the great questions of life. And this is where, back to the switching on moment. If you say to yourself, actually, no, growing old is amazing, and but your intuition, if you like, your inner being of your body goes, no, I don't buy that.
Yeah, my pain says no. My arthritis says no.
Exactly. Then there's work to do because a part of you is in fear or in shutdown, in retreat. And so again, you're back into doing the work of letting go, listening for the deeper truth, the bigger truth, a love-based truth rather than fear-based belief. And so, and that's why you switch. And that's why another word, the reason for why it's called switch on is you switch out of fear-based beliefs into love-based beliefs, but you can't just do it. Yeah, you can't just do it. This is one of the things I really critique the self-help industry. You can't just do it by looking in the mirror and forcing yourself to think a different way.
Yeah.
Because if your body is saying, no, I don't believe that because I'm scared of getting old, because when I was young, my great-grandma was really old and horrible.
Right, and now I'm starting to feel. So what do you do?
Someone died in front of me and I'm terrified of death, whatever. Yeah. That's a sign that your inner child, your deepest part of you, needs to heal to be able to have this love-based belief. And so there's work to do. You can't force it on you.
Right. So what is the work? Going back.
It's the switching on, surrendering into love, letting go of the fear, and then allowing the actual truth, the cosmic truth, the deepest, most profound, least egoic truth to come through, which is, as we know, death is a beautiful transition. You know, it has a moment of pathos. Yeah. You know,
I think one of the things I had read about, you know, the people who are saints or who become enlightened, and you know, the way they pass. First of all, they know when they're going to pass. They know exactly when, and they tell everybody, and then they go and they lie down, and they just basically they go to sleep and they go. And it's like, wow, you know, that's cool. I want to do that. I don't want to. I don't want to disintegrate to death.
No, I want to be able to. I mean, I talk in the book about death because a lot of people say, well, all this self-help, spiritual stuff is great for people who really need it, but my life is great, and I'm like, yeah, but here's some stuff that's going to happen. You're going to get old, hopefully. People are going to die around you. People are going to be ill. You may be ill, and you're definitely going to die. So unless you can sit there and imagine having a tumor and then dying without any fear and just acceptance and surrender, then there's work to do. Because that's the ultimate test of a life is, can you face death and say, I love you?
Wow.
And that's the you know.
Or I love my life.
Yeah. Well, I love you as in the individual you. I love you and your life. Great choices. You're a great, beautiful human. And I love you, death, because that's part of the life.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's profound. You know, I love that, the love-based beliefs. That got me thinking. That really has me thinking. Well, what is a love? You know, thinking about how do I create those love-based beliefs? And so you know, people would think, okay, so I have to change my thoughts to change my beliefs, and so my life will be better. Does that mean that they won't have, you know, pain? They won't have.
Oh no. No. Well, yes and no.
Because that's what the goal is. You know, that's what people think the goal is.
You won't have suffering. So I talk about the book, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So moments of pain are going to happen in everyone's life. But whether you trip out on it and it becomes suffering, that is an option. And just as you see a child hurt themselves and just get over it and move on, we all have that capacity to move through pain very quickly when we don't get attached to the beliefs and the stories about it. And this work is about saying, oh, this is a moment of sadness. I'm going to grieve the end of my job, or I'm going to grieve a friend passing, and then I'm going to get on having an amazing moment the next moment. And that's what this is about.
You know, I totally understand that. I think actually the benefit of having lived a while, you do see that you go through these difficult things and then you come out on the other side. And sometimes going through them, you know, even, you know, recently it's like, oh, why do I have to do this again? It's so painful. But then when you come out of it, it's like, okay, you know, there it is. I came out of it again and things are so much better. You could see the benefit of, through you and other people, that what happened to them going through that, that, you know, growth. So some people don't get through it. I think if you have that love-based belief, then you do get through it and become better. That's what you're saying, I believe. And
not just that. So the last chapter of the book is called Proactivity. And this is about saying the more we clear away our own pain and the more we clear away the blurring on the lens of our spirit, the more in those moments when people are hurting, we can be less worried about our own stuff and more of service, of love and support to others.
And that's the key, right? From what it's a fascinating thing to me, the being of service to others.
Yeah.
is the goal.
That's the ultimate goal of a spiritual life, is being a spiritual guide, friend, coach, mentor, healer for others.
I was just talking to somebody last night, one of my students, and she was a nurse. And then after that, she was a massage therapist. And then after that, she took care of her husband who got dementia and had a stroke. And she took care of him for 15 years. And she said that whole service thing was a wonderful experience for her, even, with her loved one who basically disintegrated. But, she said he was wonderful because he was happy and she had the time to be with him. Right. Whereas before he was always working, and she treasured that, and she loved the service.
And that's switching on to a problem that you didn't choose, but you're going to make it mean something of value, and you're going to find some way to find love in it rather than fear in it.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's a great example. We've gotten through the whole process, 1 through 10. Nick, it was wonderful to have you here. You're just like full of energy and got such great ideas. I'm really looking forward to your next book. So you're going to come back and we'll talk about that, because I'm all about science and spirit between heaven and earth, right?
Exactly.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you again for being with us. We're at the end of the show. Yep, come back. Anyway, you've been listening to Between Heaven and Earth. This is a radio show that we have every week, every Wednesday. And come back and listen to us on OMTimes Radio, Between Heaven and Earth, Conscious Living for Your Soul. You can get me at lmk88.com, and you can get Nick at nickjankel.com. So check us out, and we'll see you next time.